Hello, my name is Javier Encinas Flores, and welcome to the Community Health Seminar. Today's topic will be obesity epidemic in the Mexican community. First, we're going to go over the background of obesity. Then we're going to evaluate the criteria. We're going to provide alternatives, do recommendations, discuss limitations. We're also going to go over a concept map and provide conclusions. Let's get started. So what are some of the contributing factors to obesity? Well, first we have genetic factors running in the family. These people can't help as much. Then we have individual and lifestyle factors such as the choice of foods that you eat, how much you work out, do you live a sedentary lifestyle, etc. Then we have environmental factors as well, which is stuff that surrounds us, maybe like the job that you have, the setting that you're in doesn't allow you to live a certain lifestyle, etc. And we also have governmental factors, which we're going to go over more in detail later. So this presentation is specifically about the obesity epidemic in Mexico. So let's go and do a little overview about why we're focusing on this topic. First, obesity is perhaps the deadliest contributor to worldwide morbidity. Yet levels of obesity continue rising everywhere around the globe, despite growing concerns about its detrimental effects on the overall population and the quality of life. Mexico is among those countries who have alarmingly rising rates of obesity. Mexico has become the second most obese OECD nation in the world, only behind the United States as the most obese large nation in the world. About 1 in 3 Mexicans from ages 15 and older are considered obese in 2021. This is a drastic change compared to 1996, when about only 1 in 5 Mexicans were obese. The detrimental effects of obesity in Mexico have not only affected healthcare, but have also caused devastating effects for their economy. The Mexican government has tried multiple interventions, but the obesity rates continue to climb. As of 2012, diabetes was the #1 cause of mortality in Mexico, which links to the level of obesity. Sorry. We're going to explore further the effects, what's been done, and how we can further improve this health issue through policy and management as well. It is no secret that obesity has become a major issue in most developed nations. Mexico has had rising obesity levels since the 1960s, with increased consumption of high energy sugar and saturated fat products that has nearly doubled to present day. Animal proteins also started to replace vegetables in Mexican diets. Mexicans in 1980s consumed over 300 milligrams more of available cholesterol in their daily diet than the average American. It doesn't help that the average Mexican also consumes large numbers of flour and corn-based products, along with high sugar drinks and pastries on a daily basis. It is not surprising that in present day, over 73% of the Mexican population is overweight, 32% is obese, and about 34% of those who are obese are morbidly obese. Amongst men, over 65% are obese or overweight, while over 50% of women are obese or overweight. But perhaps the most alarming number is the rate of child obesity, which has more than doubled from 7% in 1996 to nearly 15% in 2016. Mexico is not a well-developed nation that still has high levels of poverty and not the best healthcare. This places Mexico in a very tough spot because the levels of obesity can have a direct impact on the quality of life, put a strain on healthcare, and therefore on the country's economy as well, costing the GDP over 5% by estimated to be costing the GDP over 5% by 2050, according to multiple studies. Also, if the obesity rates continue growing, life expectancy in Mexico could decrease as much as by 4 years over the next 30 years. So let's go through some of the criteria that we want to evaluate in this presentation. Let's go through the epidemiological criteria. The prevalence of reported diabetes is about 9% in Mexican adults. Prevalence increases to about 14% in the age group of 30 and older. The alarming levels of diabetes make it the number one epidemiological killer in the Mexican population. The average life expectancy of a diabetic in Mexico is 57 years, compared to 75 years of age for the general population. Obesity is the major cause for diabetes and therefore linked to its mortality. In addition, the rates of heart disease, high blood pressure, and vascular problems are extremely high as well, all due to high levels of obesity. Now let's go through legal aspects. Effects of obesity are affecting Mexico's economy and the country's GDP. The Mexican government has already tried to intervene by implementing policies. There is conflict to whether some of these policies are constitutional, as they force the population into a certain nutritional lifestyle by profiting by taxing highly bought high sugar products. Many people see this as a conflict of interest between health and government profiting. As we just talked about, there's also economic impact. A healthy society is a working society. There is a clear correlation between life expectancy and a country's economic prosperity. Most developed nations have higher life expectancy levels, while less developed nations have lower GDPs and lesser quality of life. Mexico's overall life expectancy and infant mortality rate aren't particularly alarming, but the overweight and obesity rates are. The obesity growth rate is slowly eating up into the full-time workforce. It is estimated that there are about 2.4 million full-time workers, adult candidates that are not working full-time or at all due to health issues related to obesity or diabetes. This group of people also account for about 9% of the healthcare expenditure per year. The combination of decreased workforce and increased expenses in an already less developed nation is very detrimental to the overall economy and will continue to impact the economy unless they start curving the trend the other way. Now let's go over some socio-political aspects. Obesity in Mexico also has some cultural roots. Mexican cuisine is well known for its great flavor, much of it which comes from heavily carbs and highly seasoned proteins. Corn tortillas are the most consumed food product in Mexico, and they are part of a lifestyle. Mexicans also enjoy drinking sugar-based drinks. Mexico is one of the #1 consumers and exporters of soft drinks in the world, and they have many soda companies of their own, on top of some American ones that have factories there. Mexicans also consume a lot of pastries and are known for having delicious sweets that you can find anywhere else. It has become part of the culture to eat like that, and it has become socially acceptable, which is why there has been emerging attempts to promote healthier lifestyles and wellness campaigns to drive away from that pattern. Okay, so let's go through some alternatives to find a perhaps solution to these issues. Let's start with preventive care and awareness. The Mexican government has taken steps towards opening nutritional programs and campaigns to decrease obesity, but people of all ages are continuing to grow obese. In order to help decrease the rate of obesity, they should focus on tackling it at an earlier age and start educating and screening before a person is at risk of becoming overweight or obese. There should be more focus on primary care and secondary screening for BMI, cholesterol, blood sugar, percent body fat, and blood pressure. The federal government could use some of the federal funds and create an insurance plan to promote free screening for obesity and diabetes. More funds for educational campaigns on the effects of obesity. Nowadays we have TV commercials, we have social media, we have events for wellness and awareness, sporting events, etc. This way, more people, especially the younger ones and the kids, who, as we said before, they have alarmingly high rates of obesity and trending up, can be aware and educated of the dangers of being overweight at an earlier stage, and before it happens, and start taking measures to prevent further disease and decrease obesity-related health issues such as diabetes or heart disease. Another alternative is full labeling, menu labeling, let's say. The government implemented front labeling for some goods. However, people don't know what they are eating when they eat out. It would be greatly beneficial to have food items on the menus required to have the number of calories and potentially harmful ingredients. That way, consumers can be aware of what they're eating and the quality of the food. Also, there could be some limitations implemented on the number of calories allowed per items, especially on kids' menus. We also have, let's talk about taxes. The sugar tax is incredibly low, and the tax on high-fat food hasn't shown much benefit yet. Higher taxes and possibly bans on certain food products could have greater impact on obesity level. The tax should expand to unhealthy ingredients as well to stop the consumption of them. This goes back to the fact that the Mexican government has taken some steps to actually decrease, especially the consuming of high sugar drinks, which are extremely popular in Mexico. I believe that this tax is too mild, and if they expect better results, they should increase those taxes. Not only increase them, but maybe expand the repertoire of products that they are taxing as well. Because it's been shown that I have family in Mexico actually, and it's been shown that everybody still drinks the sodas. People don't really care. So maybe there's room there for improvement. So incentives, healthy lifestyle can be promoted via sport events and community events to get people motivated to do physical activity. For example, more marathons in the city with rewards. This is something that I do a lot here in America, not as much in Mexico, but that's something that culturally and maybe even organizations and the government can start promoting more marathons, more events like that. They could also give coupons to participants. Restaurants that comply with food regulations get rewarded. Link up with local gyms and businesses to promote healthier lifestyles. Start promoting healthy businesses, organic businesses, etc. Food reconstruction. That's another subject that can be very important, specifically with Mexican cuisine, because it's so tasty and it's so typical. It could have the most impact, in my opinion. The Mexican population is deeply passionate about their local food and local dishes that are highly consumed daily. Out of all foods in the world, Mexican people are some of the people that consume their type of food almost on a daily basis. Like we said, corn tortillas are the most widely sold food item in the entire, by far, in the nation. Though delicious, they could make changes to the recipes and create alternate healthier versions of these typical Mexican dishes. For example, replace some of the harming ingredients with healthier ones that taste similar, maybe find some vegan options, organic meats, changing the oils what they cook with. If new places that serve healthier Mexican food start trending, there could be a cultural shift towards eating healthier and having a healthier lifestyle, while still eating the similar food and conserving the typical flavor. In the US, for example, there's been in recent years a lot of high consciousness waves about gluten-free items, to the point that a lot of restaurants now offer gluten-free versions of the items. A lot of restaurants promote organic food when it's organic and it's seen as a positive thing. Vegan options, etc. I believe that the Mexican Health Department could even team up with local restaurants and celebrities to begin promoting healthier foods and create campaigns that virtually will slowly change the health culture from the roots in Mexico. Okay, moving on. So I have provided here a concept map of obesity and how it affects many factors. we have here on the left side, we have some genetic factors. Again, like we said, sometimes people can't control this as much. Some people have more tendencies to be obese because it runs in the family. So that's when some of these other factors might even kick in to counter some of those genetic factors. Individual factors, everything lifestyle. We're talking working out, your nutrition, which by the way, obesity just covers so many topics in health that it can't just be grouped into one category, which, you could say is nutrition, but it's also lifestyle. It's a lot of different factors. Individual factors being some of the most important. Do you live a sedentary lifestyle? Are you under some medications that you take that might make it tougher to lose weight? Are you not running? Or are you keeping, an unhealthy lifestyle overall? Then you have environmental factors, which can affect you as well. Depending where you live in the world, not everybody has access to all the resources to be able to live a healthy lifestyle. Some people, just for the nature of their job, can't even work out much. They might not even be able to have access to the proper meals or even financially be able to afford them. There's all these outside factors that affect also if you become obese or not, in combination with the individual factors and genetic factors. Then lastly, we have the governmental factors. As we discussed before, if you live in a country, for example, or a city that is per se very unhealthy, they don't have any type of regulations, the type of food that they eat, like the typical food, is greasy or just not healthy, then you might cave in, and you might, it might make it tougher to change the lifestyles. Governments, sometimes they also help promote wellness, like I said, through marathons, through commercials, through just like take an instance, back in like the 60s or 70s, when the cigarettes were becoming associated with cancer, and to the point that the health associations and the government got involved and started like promoting to people to stop smoking and starting campaigning. And now we have all these campaigns to stop smoking, a lot of them run by governments and health departments. So again, the government can get involved a lot in people's wellness and health, and definitely obesity is one that will be affected. So in addition to that, I have here some analysis that I'd like to give, which is we have a couple of options of what we can do. We can do the status quo, which is leave things as they are. Arguments towards that will be the government's already intervening, and part of the budget is already being used to counter obesity. More intervention might mean more conflict between interests of the government and the people. It costs money to implement a lot of these policies. But the argument against would be that obesity is a problem that is affecting the economy itself and becoming a real problem for the Mexican population and their health. So since it's affecting so many areas and their well-being, then this should be a priority, and slowing down the obesity rate should require more invasive measures. So let's talk about some of the limitations. Mexico doesn't have the strongest economy, or at least not as strong as the United States and some of the other OECD nations have. So implementing a lot of these programs and regulations via policy can be very costly and can make it challenging to create a plan that can truly help counter obesity while making it financially realistic. I, for one, I would encourage the change. I think it's definitely something that's affecting the country a lot. So, and like I said, I have family there. So in conclusion, before going to the reference, let's go back here. In conclusion, I would say obesity is the #1 health problem in the world, and it has continued to grow over the years. Mexico has had an obese epidemic for decades that has impacted the nation to the point of intervention. So in conclusion, it is very encouraging to see that Mexico is finally being proactive and taking real measures to implement health policies to battle the obese epidemic. But even with that, there is still more work that could be done, and the impact could be extremely beneficial short term and long term, making it perhaps the #1 priority for this country moving forward, both from a health perspective as well as an economic perspective. And this will be the end of the presentation. So thank you very much. Glad to hear. If you guys have any questions, you're welcome to email me. Till next time. Thank you.